Welcome back and thanks for watching Trends. Today I'm with Chris Wegoda, founder of the Comedy Club Bangkok. We're at the Montian Tit Room at the Montian Hotel Surong, Bangkok. And you are watching Trends. Chris, is comedy as a form of entertainment thriving in Bangkok?
I think thriving is maybe an understatement. I mean, I started doing or learning improv comedy in 2008. Very random. I was a teacher for 2 years in the UK, teacher for 2 years here. Wasn't really for me, always wanted to be an actor. Went to a comedy film festival, which led me meeting Jonathan Sampson, who does Thai comedy as well as English comedy, like the roadshow stuff. And he said to me, would you like to do improv comedy? He also said to me, are you a stunt guy? Which I'm not. So like everyone presumed that, or still does. And because of that, we started doing improv like meetups, and it got pretty big. Like we had like 20 people coming every Sunday at a taekwondo studio that was owned by like Damien Mavis, an actor who's now doing very well in Canada. And because of that, we started doing some shows. 2011, I did a one-off open mic. Before that, there was a regular band of comics that got together, but it dissipated. It ended. And at that point, there were just like occasional pop-up shows. That open mic was at the pub where my club is now, the main club, the Comedy Club Bangkok. It was a different pub, it was the Bull's Head. It became the Royal Oak. And at some point, because of doing improv comedy and stand-up comedy, the open mic, to go back slightly in 2011 to 2013, ended. That was at the Londoner in Sukhumvit Soi 33. We started a comedy club. It was like, well, why not? Like, we have two types of comedy, so we can alternate them. And just to go back to, you know, kind of 2011, there was always this thing about like, what is it going to work? Do people want to see it? Because it was not something, it was not a thing to do for expats or tourists, or of course Thais for that matter. Fortunately, it worked out very well. And the first show, I mean, the Londoner itself was successful. It was rough, I'll be honest, like in terms of audience numbers, and you know, a lot of the time we didn't really know what we were doing. I literally became promoter, MC, and comedian overnight because I met other people that wanted to do comedy at one other open mic, and then I met one guy who became a good friend, Tristan Botley, and I could see that people wanted to do it. There was people willing to watch it, wanted to watch it. And then in 2014, opening the Comedy Club Bangkok, things just skyrocketed. Like the first show was half improv and half stand-up. We had 170 people in a room that should not have fit maybe 130, right? So it was insane. It was a crazy night. It was a huge success. But as they say, like anyone can have success for one show. It's always keeping it going. And you know, we have kept it going. In 2016, we got Jimmy Carr. He sold out the Western Grand Ballroom 3 times over 2 days. So that's like around 1,800 people. And it's just gone on from there. We've had different promoter partners. We've worked with an ungodly amount of comedians. We've done comedy, stand-up comedy in multiple languages, all sorts of nationalities. I was just saying to you before, like we've had a lot of Indian comedians, including very recently we had about, I think it was 130 people for Gujarati. The fascinating thing about doing the comedy is that I've actually learned a lot about Indian culture, the different religions, the different dialects. We've done Hindi shows. So the majority is in English. We've done shows in French and I think Danish, probably another language I've forgotten about. And we are making a move to more Thai language as well, because like we often get people saying, oh, I've been watching stand-up on Netflix. and I wanted to see what it's really about. And you cannot compare the experience. So like, we also had our last improv comedy show was No Flicks 2, because it was the second one. So as you can gather, that's kind of saying, you know, stop couch surfing or whatever you're doing and just sitting down and just drinking your tea or whatever you're doing, or beer, or probably more likely beer in Bangkok, and just see some live comedy, because improv comedy is a little bit harder to sell because people don't know what it is. So improv comedy, the tagline we use is "as made famous by whose lines did anyway," which was a very big show when I was growing up in the UK and of course in the US. Also when I was growing up, which is quite a while ago, it was sitcoms, not stand-up. So that is kind of what I was growing up in terms of comedy. You know, I mean, I was a bit of a joker or whatever at school and stuff, but I wouldn't have dreamed in a million years that at my age I would be doing comedy as a profession in terms as a promoter and as a comedian.
What inspired you to get to where you are today then?
To be honest, it was just because I love comedy. Like, because when I loved improv, and then when I did that open mic, it was kind of like a mini competition. So that place is actually, the Bull's Head used to have their upstairs where we're at now. A British promoter used to fly in generally British comics, 3 comedians, to do shows. So I won tickets to see that. So I guess the short of it is getting the audience on side and seeing that, okay, well, maybe I can do this. And I remember like someone heckled and I bantered back with them. So like I was showing promise, I guess. And yeah, it's just, I love it. I mean, there's nothing, I feel blessed to be able to be in a profession where my job is to make people laugh. I mean, I can't think of anything better really. And this isn't exactly what the question you asked, but the way I see comedy, whether it's stand-up or improv, is I host a lot, and my job is to regard the night as like a party. So the comedians are my friends, the audience are my new friends, I'm the party host, and we're all going to just have fun together. And that's the essence of it. And I can see it's quite an emotional experience doing comedy, because you know, people have a bad day, they have a bad week, and then they just want to go out. And sometimes it's easy to forget. We do so many shows that people have bought tickets and like they can't wait. That's their highlight. They're looking forward to going out to see a comedy show, and we're so lucky.
Is there comedy talent in Bangkok?
Absolutely.
For the English or non-speaking Thai market?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when we started in 2008, like John Sampson was teaching improv. In 2011, no one really taught it, but you know, we kind of muddled through. But now there is quite a few comedians in Bangkok. Obviously of varying, you know, abilities and experience. For example, this Friday we have a gong show, and a gong show is where audience members get a red card, although in Thailand it's going to be a red flip-flop for that matter, and they have the ability to vote the comedian off. So the comedian has 90 seconds, and then after that anything goes, right? The difficulty here is that people are generally so nice. In London, they can be harsh. Like, I won't say how, but they can be really harsh. It's pretty unpleasant sometimes. But here, people are nice, and it's getting them firm but fair with the comics. It's like, you don't like them, put your card up, right? Or make a response, because obviously, if other people boo, then they can put up. And for that show, and that's not every comic, because not every comic wants to enter a competition for various reasons. That's about 21 locals, right? So that's a pretty significant number. And we have about 7 or 8 like regular improvisers as well, just with the Comedy Club Bangkok. I opened a B room, so you know, the main club is the A room. The B room is a workout open mic room. It's much smaller. It's still a dedicated space. You know, it's still, you know, spend a lot of time to make it look nice and make sure the sound system's good and the lighting. And that's where comedians are born, right? Because they have the opportunity to try their stuff out. And there's comedy like many nights a week, not necessarily with my brand. So there's lots of opportunities for people to do comedy. I also teach stand-up, so I do workshops, and the basic idea of it is to develop 3 minutes so you don't bomb. Because in reality, you know, some people are funnier than others. However, stand-up is a very structured thing in many respects, and it's about ticking certain boxes. And once you tick those boxes, you'll get some laughs. You won't bomb for 3 minutes. We haven't done an improv comedy workshop for a while, but we will. We've also done them for kids. So we're encouraging youngsters to get into improv. So like we're also speaking to Ratchadai Theatre about doing an improv program with them, and most of their students would be Thais. We also have a Monday meetup at 6 o'clock at the club, Comedy Club Bangkok, Sukhumvit 33/1, 6 p.m. And then at 7:30 p.m. that ends and the Thai improv begins. So John Sampson, the fellow that introduced me to improv in the first place, he speaks fluent Thai. He was just in The Murderer on Netflix, so like just to pimp that. And he teaches it in Thai, and he's trying to encourage it so that we can develop a Thai group. Right now, we're rotating the Thai guys and girls into the English language improv group, and we have a 17-year-old student, like Thai girl, who has the most, the darkest sense of humor. She's so funny and she's so smart, and she's just slipped right in with us in terms of performance. It's incredible. Like, she got the biggest round of applause. Yeah, she's going to be a star, and you know, she's had to say to her parents, like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a performer. So we're very happy to have her.
So up to now, have all your comedians been expats, and now you're bringing Thais into the fold?
There's always been Thais one way or the other. I mean, I'm Thai, technically. I may not sound it, for that matter. But I mean, there's always been some Thais, one way or another, involved in stand-up and improv.
Performing English
performing in English.
Wow.
There is a Thai stand-up comedy scene. Obviously, everyone knows Note Hudom. He's a legend, and he's obviously the original stand-up comedian for Thais. But there is a new wave of Thai stand-up comedians who I see doing great things. The only thing I'd say is, like, I think that I would actually like to work with more Thais on stand-up so that they keep to the structure that I think is internationally viable. Because obviously, again, not being in the culture, it may not be exactly to the palate of the non-Thai market. And if they want to become big, they need to learn how to do that. Some of them are, for that matter, but I think some of them aren't. It's different, and you have to respect as well that every culture evolves in a different way. So, but I am looking to work with more Thai stand-up comedians. My Thai is not good though. So like, even though I'm half Thai, born in the UK, had a bit of a lisp when I was growing up, only studied English, only learned English. But yeah, so I'll be working with John Sampson on that and some other people to try and propagate Thai language, improv and stand-up. And then there's also, I mean, we're also interested in theatre. I mean, we're actors, darling, you know. Like my girlfriend, Jenny Pines, she is an off-Broadway musical theatre actress, so like she's really pushing for that. So, you know, we have a comedy base, but we're looking to branch out. You know, we already do shows all around Thailand. We organise tours all around Asia. We're looking to connect the Middle East and Australasia.
I think it's highly commendable that you're launching these training programs. You're training comedians. I'm astounded at that, because I thought you needed to be a natural comedian and you can't learn the art.
Well, I mean, even if you want to be like a painter, you need to learn how to hold the brush. Obviously, if you're going to play the guitar, you need to learn the craft. So I'm not going to say that everyone's equally funny, because that isn't realistic. But you'll be amazed at how funny maybe even anyone can be with a little training. But the really big thing is that they need to have the motivation to do it. Like I've seen guys do open mic, and you know, sometimes it's one show. It's like the bucket list is ticked. Sometimes it's 10 shows, the bucket list is ticked. Sometimes it's 10 shows, this just isn't for me. So, but a lot of people that get into improv and stand-up comedy, it's very addictive. I mean,
can they make a career in Thailand out of stand-up and improv?
You can't, I mean, realistically, it's supplemental to what else you're doing.
Yes.
I don't think that you can be a full-time English language comedian in Thailand, or you can be like John Sampson and also speak Thai. Obviously that changes everything. As a pure comic, it's going to be difficult, but you can certainly have fun and you can get paid to do comedy. It's just not, you know, it's just not going to be enough to live on. So again, people have like another job.
And I need the behind the scenes scoop. With improv comedy, is any of it scripted? Because for these guys to stand up and create comedic responses to a subject or topic that they don't know that's coming up, it's amazing.
It is, I mean, the thing about stand-up is that, you know, a lot of people are like, I could never do that. But you do get some people who are like, well, I could talk on a mic. But with improv, it is that, yeah. Well, I mean, they're not necessarily hecklers, but it's just a feeling that I get and things that people sometimes say. But with improv, it is like, that's amazing because you're working with other people as well. Is it scripted? Well, the short of it is no. But you know, there's 3 types of improv. Like when it comes to the Who's line, is it anyway kind of improv. There's the short form, which are games. So what we do practice are the games. But you don't know what they're going to do.
Amazing.
Right? So like, it's all about the justification whenever you have an audience member or whatever suggestion it may be. I mean, we prepared like a little bit on how to set up the scene, but when the actual scene, no, we just go for it. And it really is about going for it. It's the same with stand-up, like you have to be honest and truthful and in the moment, like any art, like any entertainment, and have fun. I mean, that's really the name of the game, isn't it? Having fun.
Is there any gig that stands out that's been the most amazing for you since you've been running the Comedy Club Bangkok? Or a comedian that's been outstanding, that's memorable, and you say, that was a masterpiece?
Recently we had Kumar at the Western Grand, and I opened for Kumar, so that was the biggest audience that I've ever opened for. The one thing I'd really like to get across is that I do feel that today, like, we use social media for marketing, like you have to. But at the end of the day, it's like what we're doing now, even for an interview, is human. Like, we need to talk and we need to be physically close to people and see people doing wonderful things. And live comedy is a way to do that. It's really hard to express. I get quite emotional. I don't know if that's coming across, but it means so much to me. Like, I feel so blessed that not only do I have a means to make a living, I have a means to make a living that couldn't be better. Making people laugh, giving them joy. Like, what could be better than that?
Nothing. Nothing. Chris, thank you so much for being with us here today. Thank you also to the Montian Hotel for providing this fabulous venue, and thank you to you for watching this episode. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Thank you.